Are you over 70 and feeling like you need to push yourself harder to stay healthy? What if I told you that less could be more when it comes to exercise? Many of us believe that as we age, the only way to stay fit is through intense workouts. But here's the truth. Overexercising after 70 can do more harm than good. Joint pain, fatigue, and injury are just a few of the risks. In this video, I'm going to show you 6 simple yet powerful habits that can help you stay active, feel energized, and maintain your health without pushing your body to its limits. These are not only easier alternatives, but also better for your long-term well-being. You'll hear inspiring stories from real people who found new ways to stay fit and healthy through activities like walking, yoga, and even gardening. By watching until the end, you'll discover how to improve your flexibility, strength, and overall health without risking injury or exhaustion. I'll also share why these simple habits can make a significant difference in your daily energy levels, mobility, and even your emotional well-being. If you're ready to embrace a healthier, more balanced approach to aging, this video is for you. Let's dive in. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. Story 1. Grandma Ruth's Daily Walks. When it comes to staying active, we often hear about the importance of rigorous workouts and high-intensity routines. The idea of pushing ourselves to the limit is celebrated, but is that really what our bodies need, especially as we age? For many people over 70, the reality is quite different. Intense exercise can sometimes do more harm than good, leaving the body strained, aching, and vulnerable. This brings us to the heartwarming story of Grandma Ruth, a lesson in wisdom, resilience, and learning to embrace the gentler path to wellness. At 72, Grandma Ruth was full of determination. Inspired by her younger friends who jogged daily, she decided to join them, convinced that jogging would be the secret to staying young and vibrant. At first, she pushed herself with admirable spirit, waking up early every morning to hit the pavement. But soon, her enthusiasm began to clash with her body's quiet pleas for mercy. The joint pain in her knees and hips became a stubborn companion, and fatigue weighed her down like a heavy blanket. Instead of feeling invigorated, Ruth found herself increasingly worn out, her body whispering a truth she couldn't ignore: this wasn't working. It wasn't an easy decision, but Ruth finally chose to listen to her body. She swapped her running shoes for a pair of comfortable sneakers and started something much simpler: walking at her own pace. At first, she struggled with the thought that she was taking a step back, wondering if she was giving up too easily. But as the days turned into weeks, something magical began to happen. The persistent joint pain that had plagued her slowly started to ease. The fatigue that once consumed her was replaced with a steady, comforting energy. With every gentle step, Ruth felt her body come alive in a way it hadn't for years. Walking became more than just exercise for Ruth. It became a daily ritual, a time to connect with herself and the world around her. She reveled in the rhythm of her footsteps, the soothing rustle of leaves, and the fresh air that filled her lungs. What she once saw as it stepped down transformed into an act of self-care, a way to nurture her body rather than punish it. Walking taught her to respect her limits, and, in doing so, she discovered a joy that jogging had never given her. Ruth's journey is a powerful reminder that sometimes, the simplest actions yield the greatest rewards. For people over 70, walking isn't just a way to stay active, it's a lifeline to better health and well-being. It supports heart health, maintains mobility, and reduces stress, all without the risks that come with more strenuous activities. Beyond the physical benefits, it provides an opportunity to slow down and savor life's quiet moments, a gift far more precious than any fitness milestone. Grandma Ruth's story resonates deeply because it challenges us to rethink our approach to health and aging. It teaches us to embrace gentleness, to listen to the wisdom of our bodies, and to value consistency over intensity. Her daily walks weren't just about staying fit. They were about finding balance, nurturing her spirit, and living a life filled with vitality and gratitude. And isn't that what staying active is truly about? Story 2. George's Yoga Transformation. Aging often comes with its challenges, and for many, one of the most disheartening is the gradual stiffness that seems to creep into our joints and muscles. It's a subtle change at first, a little less flexibility here, a slight discomfort there. But over time, it becomes a persistent reminder that our bodies are no longer as resilient as they once were. For George, a 74-year-old weightlifting enthusiast, this reality was hard to face. He had spent decades building his strength, enjoying the rush of power that came with lifting heavy weights. The gym was his sanctuary, and the barbell his trusted companion. But as the years passed, George began to notice troubling signs. His shoulders felt tight and unyielding, his hips seemed less cooperative, and his once reliable lower back often throbbed with pain after a session at the gym. Despite his unwavering dedication, these aches and stiffness started to spill over into his everyday life. Putting on socks became an ordeal, and even bending to tie his shoes sent a sharp reminder that his body was crying out for something different. At first, George resisted the idea of change. The thought of trading his robust weightlifting routine for something like yoga felt almost laughable. Yoga? Wasn't that for people who weren't serious about fitness? Could something so gentle make a difference for someone like him, who thrived on pushing his limits? Doubts swirled in his mind, but the growing discomfort eventually forced him to step outside his comfort zone. Reluctantly, he signed up for a beginner yoga class, unsure of what to expect. The first session was humbling. He struggled to touch his toes and felt out of place among the serene movements of the other participants. But as the weeks went by, something remarkable began to happen. The gentle stretches, combined with focused breathing and mindful movement, started to unlock parts of his body that had been stiff and rigid for years. His shoulders began to loosen, his hips felt more mobile, and the nagging pain in his lower back started to fade. Morning stiffness, once an unwelcome companion, became a thing of the past. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. What George didn't anticipate was how yoga would transform not just his flexibility but his entire perspective on fitness. Rather than replacing his beloved weightlifting, yoga complemented it in ways he never imagined. The improved mobility allowed him to lift with better form, reducing strain on his joints. He found that his posture, once slouched under the weight of heavy barbells, had improved dramatically. For the first time in years, he felt balanced, not just in his body but in his spirit. George's journey is a testament to the power of adaptability and the courage it takes to try something new, even when it challenges our preconceptions. It's not about giving up what you love, but finding ways to sustain it by embracing what your body truly needs. Through yoga, George rediscovered the freedom of movement he thought he had lost forever. His story reminds us all that strength isn't just about how much we can lift or how fast we can go. True strength lies in listening to our bodies, finding balance, and nurturing the flexibility that keeps us moving gracefully through every stage of life. Story 3. Elons' Gentle Strength Training. As we age, preserving muscle mass becomes more than just a health goal. It's a cornerstone of independence and vitality. It supports balance, strengthens bones, and gives us the physical confidence to move through life with ease. However, the way we approach strength training must adapt to the changing needs of our bodies. The days of heavy lifting and grueling gym sessions may no longer serve us as they once did. This is a truth Eleanor, lovingly known as Elon by her friends, discovered in her journey toward a healthier, gentler way of staying strong. Eleanor, now 78, was once a powerhouse in her local gym. She relished the challenge of lifting heavy weights, her muscles burning with effort as she pushed herself harder each day. It made her feel unstoppable, a warrior against the tide of aging. For a time, she thrived on the sense of accomplishment, feeling both empowered and invincible. But gradually, her body began to tell a different story. The soreness that once faded overnight began to linger for days, creeping into her joints and whispering warnings of strain. Her boundless energy turned into fatigue that stretched beyond her workouts, making simple tasks feel heavier than they should. Eleanor, ever the fighter, initially ignored these signs. But as the pain grew harder to dismiss, a realization dawned on her. What had worked so beautifully in her younger years was no longer the path her body needed. It was a bittersweet moment of acceptance, tinged with frustration but also self-compassion. Eleanor decided it was time for a change, not as a concession to age but as an act of self-care. She traded her heavy dumbbells for resistance bands, tools that seemed almost laughably light at first. Yet, as she began using them with slow, deliberate movements, she felt her muscles engage in a way that was challenging yet kind to her body. She added exercises like squats and lunges, using only her body weight, and even wall push-ups, which felt both invigorating and safe. To her surprise, the results were transformative. Eleanor's muscle tone returned, her strength improved, and the aches that had plagued her began to fade. No longer did she feel drained or overworked after her sessions. Instead, she felt energized, as if her body were thanking her for listening and adapting. The gentle strength training allowed her not only to maintain her physical health but to reclaim the joy of movement, free from the fear of injury or overstrain. Eleanor's story is more than an inspiring tale of resilience. It's a poignant reminder of the wisdom that comes with age. Strength training after 70 doesn't have to mean defying limits or lifting impossibly heavy weights. It's about embracing movements that nourish your body, protect your joints, and honor the decades of wear and tear it has endured. Lighter, low-resistance exercises can preserve muscle health, enhance mobility, and ensure that everyday challenges are met with grace and ease. Eleanor often reflects on her journey with a smile. "It's not about proving how strong you are to the world," she says. "It's about feeling strong enough to live your life fully and joyfully." Her gentle strength training routine has become not just a fitness plan, but a daily act of love toward herself. It's a reminder that adapting doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing what's best for the unique person you are today. And in that choice lies true empowerment. Story 4. Bill's mindful breathing. As we grow older, our bodies naturally change in ways that can feel limiting, even frustrating. The seemingly endless stamina of our youth gradually gives way to a slower, more measured pace of life. For someone like Bill, who spent decades running marathons and pushing his physical boundaries, these changes felt like losing a core part of himself. Running wasn't just a hobby or a form of exercise. It was his identity, a source of pride, and a way of staying connected to his strength and resilience. Every mile he conquered was proof that he could endure anything life threw his way. For most of his life, Bill had been the picture of vitality. He thrived on the feeling of his heart pounding, his legs propelling him forward, and the wind brushing against his face. It was more than physical exertion. It was freedom. But as he entered his 80s, something shifted. The runs that once invigorated him began to take a toll on his body. He found himself winded sooner, his legs heavy, and his energy drained. Instead of the euphoria he once felt, he began dreading the effort it took to lace up his shoes. At first, Bill fought against this new reality. He pushed himself harder, trying to recapture the strength he had always taken for granted. But the harder he tried, the more his body resisted. The frustration weighed on him, not just physically but emotionally. Running had been his outlet, his sanctuary. Without it, he felt adrift, uncertain of how to fill the void. Was this the inevitable decline everyone talked about? Was he doomed to watch his body betray him as the years went by? One evening, as he sat reflecting on his dilemma, Bill stumbled upon an article about the benefits of mindful breathing. It spoke of how simple breathing exercises could restore energy, improve focus, and even bring a sense of calm to the mind. At first, he was skeptical. How could something as basic as breathing compare to the thrill of a marathon? But curiosity won out. The next morning, he decided to give it a try. Bill started small. He sat on the edge of his favorite chair, closed his eyes, and drew in a deep, deliberate breath. He held it for a moment before slowly exhaling, imagining the stress and frustration leaving his body with each breath. At first, it felt strange. Too slow, too quiet, too far removed from the intensity he was used to. But as the days turned into weeks, he began to notice subtle changes. His mornings felt lighter. His mind, once clouded with worry about what he could no longer do, started to clear. The breathing exercises, though simple, seemed to unlock a wellspring of energy and calm he hadn't known was there. Encouraged by this newfound clarity, Bill decided to go further. He began incorporating meditation into his routine, spending 10, then 20 minutes each day sitting quietly and focusing on his breath. At first, his mind would wander, as if it was resisting the stillness. But instead of getting frustrated, Bill learned to gently guide his thoughts back to the rhythm of his breathing. This practice, he realized, wasn't about perfection but about presence. The transformation was profound. Even on days when his body felt tired and unwilling, Bill found solace in his breathing exercises. They became his anchor, a way to recharge both his body and his spirit without the strain of physical exertion. He discovered a new kind of strength, one that wasn't about miles run or records broken but about the quiet power of being present and connected to himself. As the weeks turned into months, Bill noticed that he approached life with a renewed sense of balance. The frustration that had once consumed him began to fade, replaced by a deep appreciation for what his body could still do. He no longer saw aging as a loss but as an opportunity to explore new ways of staying vital and engaged. Through mindful breathing, Bill unlocked a source of energy and clarity that he had never tapped into before. It didn't just help him cope with the physical changes of aging, it gave him a new lens through which to view his life. He realized that staying energized and vibrant isn't always about pushing harder or doing more. Sometimes it's about slowing down, listening to your body, and finding strength in the simplest of actions. Bill's journey is a testament to the power of adaptation and the resilience of the human spirit. It's a reminder that even as our physical capabilities evolve, we can discover new ways to thrive. His story invites us all to pause, take a deep breath, and embrace the quiet yet profound energy that lies within us. For Bill, this practice wasn't just about restoring his stamina. It was about finding peace, purpose, and a deeper connection to himself in this new chapter of life. And for anyone willing to try, his experience shows that the simple act of mindful breathing can be a gateway to renewed vitality and joy, no matter your age. Story 5. Margaret's Gardening Habit. Sometimes, life's most fulfilling moments are found in the simplest activities. For Margaret, gardening was not merely a pastime. It was her sanctuary, her therapy, and the heartbeat of her daily routine. At 76, Margaret could no longer do many of the things she once took for granted, but her love for gardening never wavered. It had been a constant in her life, a place where she could lose herself while finding clarity and peace. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Margaret had always loved the feel of soil between her fingers, the sight of dew glistening on petals, and the gentle hum of bees visiting her blooms. Over the years, her garden had been a witness to her life seasons, a place of celebration during good times and a source of solace during the challenging ones. But as she grew older, her body began to send her warnings. Her back ached more often, her knees protested when she knelt, and her hands, though still steady, didn't have the strength they once had. A visit to the doctor confirmed what she feared. She needed to avoid heavy lifting and strenuous activity to protect her health. At first, this news was devastating. Margaret felt a sense of loss, as though a part of her identity was slipping away. How could she keep her beloved garden alive if she couldn't do the hard work it demanded? For days, she wrestled with doubt and sadness, fearing she might have to give up the one thing that brought her so much joy. But then, in a moment of quiet reflection, Margaret decided that she would not let age take away her passion. If she couldn't garden the way she used to, she would find a new way. Determined, Margaret reimagined her relationship with her garden. Instead of tackling big projects, she focused on smaller, gentler tasks. Each morning, she would head outside with her wide-brimmed hat, gloves, and a small stool to sit on while she worked. She began by pulling weeds, her movements deliberate and unhurried. She planted colorful flowers in pots that she could easily manage, arranged her garden beds to be more accessible, and trimmed her bushes with lightweight shears. As the days turned into weeks, Margaret discovered something remarkable. Her garden didn't need her to work tirelessly to thrive. It only needed her care and attention, however modest. And in return, it gave her something even greater, a sense of purpose and connection. Each bloom that opened felt like a triumph. The earthy scent of soil and the gentle rustle of leaves filled her with a calm she hadn't known she needed. But the benefits went beyond the physical act of gardening. Margaret found that her time in the garden nourished her spirit in profound ways. It became a daily ritual, a sacred time to reflect, breathe, and simply be. The act of nurturing her plants mirrored the way she was learning to nurture herself, gently, patiently, and with love. The garden taught her that growth isn't always about grand transformations. Sometimes, it's about small, consistent efforts that accumulate into something beautiful. Margaret noticed other changes, too. The light exercise kept her body limber and her energy levels steady. The fresh air and sunlight lifted her mood, while the gentle rhythm of her work eased her worries. Her garden became a place of mindfulness, where she could focus on the present moment rather than the uncertainties of the future. Through her journey, Margaret realized that growing older didn't mean giving up the things you love. It meant finding new ways to adapt, embrace what you can still do, and find joy in those moments. Her story is a powerful reminder that life's greatest joys often come from the simplest actions. For Margaret, gardening was no longer just a hobby. It was a celebration of life, resilience, and the enduring beauty of nature. And for anyone who might feel that age is a limitation, Margaret's journey is proof that it doesn't have to be. Life is about cultivating what matters most, even if it means taking smaller, more deliberate steps to do so. So, let Margaret's story inspire you to find your garden, whatever that may be. Whether it's tending to plants, pursuing a passion, or simply spending time in nature, there is immense value in the small, daily acts of care we give to the things we love. Because in nurturing them, we also nurture ourselves, and that is the greatest gift of all. Herb Cherry Blossom. Story 6. Arthur's Social Engagement. As the years go by and the seasons of life shift, the way we define health and happiness evolves. While much of the conversation around aging focuses on physical well-being, the truth is that mental and social engagement play an equally, if not more, crucial role in our overall vitality. For Arthur, now 82, these principles were not just ideas but a way of life that kept him vibrant, purposeful, and deeply content. His story is a heartfelt illustration of how human connection and intellectual curiosity can breathe life into our later years, making them rich and rewarding. Arthur has always been a man who finds joy in connection. While others his age often spoke about the physical routines that kept them going, morning runs, yoga classes, or weight training, Arthur's energy was drawn from a different source. He found his strength and fulfillment in the warmth of human relationships and the mental stimulation that came from learning and sharing. It's not just about keeping the body moving, he often said. It's about keeping the heart engaged and the mind curious. For decades, Arthur had been a devoted member of his local book club. Every Thursday evening, he would walk to the community center, armed with his latest read and an eagerness to dive into spirited discussions. The book club was more than a hobby. It was a lifeline. Surrounded by friends who shared his passion for stories, he felt a sense of belonging that transcended the pages they discussed. These conversations weren't just about literature. They were about life, shared experiences, and the joy of seeing the world through someone else's eyes. Beyond the book club, Arthur dedicated much of his time to volunteer work. He joined groups that supported local causes, such as organizing food drives for underprivileged families or mentoring young people who needed guidance. Volunteering wasn't just a way to give back, it was a way to stay connected to the pulse of his community. He often spoke about the immense satisfaction of knowing that his efforts, no matter how small, could bring comfort and hope to someone else. "When you help others, you help yourself," Arthur said with a warm smile, his eyes shining with the wisdom of someone who had lived a full life. Through these activities, Arthur uncovered a profound truth. Social and mental engagement offered him a level of fulfillment that physical exercise alone could never provide. He noticed that the more he connected with others, the sharper his mind became. He felt a renewed sense of purpose that invigorated his days and gave him something to look forward to. "Every time I walk into a room filled with friends or strangers, I feel alive," he reflected. "It's like my heart beats a little faster, my thoughts flow a little clearer, and my spirit feels a little lighter." If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Arthur's interactions weren't just a source of entertainment. They were a key ingredient in his overall health. He believed that his relationships and intellectual pursuits had a ripple effect on every aspect of his life. His laughter during a book club debate, the warm hugs exchanged with fellow volunteers, and the satisfaction of learning something new all contributed to his emotional well-being. These moments nourished his soul in ways that went far beyond the surface, anchoring him in a sense of purpose and joy that carried him through each day. One of Arthur's most striking realizations was how much his social engagement enriched his sense of self. He saw himself not just as an older man navigating the challenges of aging, but as a valued member of his community, a mentor to the younger generation, and a friend to those who needed one. This sense of identity gave him a level of resilience and optimism that many struggled to find. He often said, "It's not just about what you do. It's about who you are to the people around you." His life was a powerful testament to the idea that human connection is as essential as any physical regimen. While others focused on their steps or calories burned, Arthur focused on the laughter he shared, the stories he told, and the lives he touched. He believed that the essence of living well wasn't found in isolation but in the bonds we build with others. "We're not meant to grow old alone," he said. "We're meant to grow together, sharing our wisdom, our kindness, and our stories." Arthur's journey is a reminder for all of us, regardless of age, to prioritize the things that truly matter: relationships, learning, and giving back. His story encourages us to look beyond the surface and invest in the deeper aspects of life that bring meaning and joy. For Arthur, every book club meeting, every volunteer event, and every heartfelt conversation was a step toward a life well lived. His legacy is one of connection, purpose, and the unshakable belief that no matter how many years pass, the heart and mind can remain as vibrant as ever when nurtured by the warmth of human interaction. Arthur's life is a shining example of what it means to age gracefully, not just in body but in spirit. His story invites us all to embrace the power of social and mental engagement, to seek out the activities and relationships that fill us with joy, and to recognize that the greatest gift we can give ourselves is the gift of connection. In doing so, we can ensure that our later years are not just lived but celebrated, filled with the laughter, love, and purpose that make life truly worth living. Arthur's story reminds us all of the immense value of staying socially and mentally engaged, especially as we age. It's a powerful reminder that our relationships, the joy of learning, and the sense of purpose we derive from helping others can truly enrich our lives in ways that go far beyond the physical. Now, let's hear from you. What have you learned from Arthur's inspiring journey? What is one thing you'll take away from this story and start practicing in your own life? Whether it's prioritizing social connections, engaging in community activities, or finding ways to keep your mind sharp, we'd love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support helps us create more meaningful content to inspire and guide you through every stage of life. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.